Hello, I'm Justin, and this is Talk Junkie today. Just got a quick, important little PSA for you. Something came to my attention today that I was not aware of. Apparently, there's a mayor who has, like most places, I know here in Kentucky we have a 1-800 number. You can call and report people gathering in large groups and activities of people and locations, things of that nature. Things that Comrade, or that Andy Brashear, the governor, and the state government, and I'm sure the federal government is perfectly okay with. Andrew is promoting this every day. I'm sure the federal government's just tracking us via phone, so they're not really much concerned about having to be reported. But I think the reporting is a little more than that. There's a mayor apparently who is offering money for people who will report offenders. I'm never surprised by the gullibility of people. I'm never surprised by the ignorance of people. I'm never surprised by the selfishness of people. In the time and day we live in, with the multitude of information around us, with the ability to look back at our past and the ability to examine mistakes from the past and the ability to look at missteps that we've taken globally, locally, federally, as a race, as the human race, it's all there. So I'm always astonished by stupidity. There's not really an excuse for it. You can say, well, I didn't take the time, then that's laziness. That's not an excuse for stupidity. It's you're lazy. Laziness is not really a good excuse. And look, I many things in life I don't do because I'm lazy, and it's not an excuse. I'm not the perfect person. But the collective of people, I think the whole of people, for the most part, are more intelligent than that. I don't think they look at this as a bipartisan issue. I think they look at it as a collective attempt to get a little more control, because everybody wants a little more control. But the whole purpose in doing this little mini cast was to talk about those numbers. Those 1-800 numbers, those text services, depending on the state, county, city, whatever it is. You have the ability to access people and to tell on your neighbors for things. It helps the state, the deep state, whoever. I guess in this case it's just the state. It helps the state monitor and keep track of you. It allows them the ability to see how far your neighbor will go. Now, I know a lot of people are, he's just a conspiracy theorist, and that's fine. I mean, again, there's no documentation to prove that. There's no historical precedent to say that this is what happens when things like this start happening in a country. We don't have any data to look back on. Our government's always been forthright and upfront and stand tall and honest with us. We have no reason to doubt that, and I probably am incorrect. So my recommendation would be that you flood these numbers. You call them as often as humanly possible. You call them every time you find a neighbor who is in bad shape and needs help financially, needs help with food. When you find an elderly person who needs attention, who's not getting it during this time of crisis. Call it when you know of someone who really is doing all they can and it's just not enough and they're not making it. Call it when there's someone you're worried about because, the situation indicates that there may be an issue with them because you've not seen or heard from them. Call if you have someone slaving away in the medical field that's a family member that's on the front lines of this thing, working and killing themselves. Call and go, you know what? I want to report them. They've been in this hospital working and trying to save you and save myself, and I want to call and report them for what a good job they're doing. I say we flood these. I say we flood these lines, and we flood them with the good of people and with true concern and with things that the government should really be worried about. See, the government should really take those resources, whether it be on a state, county, or city level, and divert them to helping to feed the hungry, divert them to helping with unemployment, divert them to helping people who just can't help themselves in this situation. This is a situation that our generation has never seen. And it's a situation that I hope no other generation after us sees. But it's going to become more and more likely as viruses grow and change. I mean, that's the state of nature. And this virus is probably fairly unchanged, except for the fact that it's able to be transmitted now to humans, And I say we call and we report people who make false claims, We need to call and report the WHO to these numbers, because the WHO said initially that this could not be transmitted from human to human. And so we got a late start getting started on this. And, I mean, it's proof's kind of in the pudding. They're pretty well shields for the Chinese. So, let's call and report the WHO on these numbers. Let's call and report President Donald J. Trump. I mean, first you don't wear a mask, and then you do wear a mask, and then you need to say mask for... I don't know. If you could figure out anything, breathe in Lysol. I think that was an option. And in fairness, I don't watch 90% of his speeches, so it's hard for me to repeat verbatim. I have this true belief that the quality of your knowledge is based upon what you put in it. So I limit myself to what I see. I don't like to listen to idiots. By the way, though, there was another idiot that said it's no different than the flu. We don't need to do anything any differently. It was Nancy Pelosi. So we should probably call and report her. See, we've got a bunch of people who want to be in control at all costs. A bunch of people who want to have the final say at all costs, from the city level to the state level to the federal level. See, it's not like Rome. Well, I guess it is kind of like Rome. We have the emperor, but in each of his little places, each of his little provinces, each of his little Roman states, a little too far away for the emperor's power to fully reach. He has little minions in charge. And those little minions, they want to be emperor of their own small little Rome. And then within their Rome, there's smaller districts. And those districts need leaders. They need emperors. It's our responsibility to take care of each other. Not just as a federal government taking care of the people, a state government taking care of the people, a county government taking care of the people, but the people taking care of the people. That's our responsibility. That is what it is. These phone lines and these numbers and these calls currently are resulting in nothing. People aren't really doing a whole lot when they get these calls, because at what point do you become a little too totalitarian? When do you become a little too autocratic? Do you become a little too tyrannical? You have to limit what you'll do. But it does set a precedent. It does say, if put under the right duress, if put in the right situation, these people will, undoubtedly cave on each other. Fear will make them be a bad neighbor. Fear will make them be a bad citizen. Because, see, I think people look at things like this inaccurately sometimes. It's not us trying to take the nation from the government. Because, see, the government doesn't actually own the nation. We are the nation. It's we the people. It's the government trying to take the nation from us. And not in some big, secretive, nasty, horrible way. I don't think we've got there yet. But I think our perception is good enough to know that, wow, that looks like the direction we're going down. Because we see it in other places around the world. If you want to call that number and report Kim Jong-un. I don't think he self-quarantined. Word on the street is he passed away of a complication of heart surgery. He's crazy to let those people operate on him because they'd love to see him dead. I don't know if that's true because, again, I don't generally flood my mind with most of the news. I wait for it to come to a pretty sensible source, and then I take it from that source. Was it they always used to not say, now you know, now you know. Now you know. Now you know that there's a number out there. And if you really want to use it for its true purpose, use it for its true purpose. That's fine. Will I think less of you? What would it matter how I think of you? I'm not big on other people's perception of me. I don't honestly care. And I wouldn't expect any different from you. Will it tell me something about a person that does that? Yeah, it will. If you have to ask me what it tells me, then you don't understand. The majority of people are not going to do that. They don't need to find the majority of people. They need to isolate the minority of that group. The 3-letter agencies probably have a field day with something like that. Wow. We get attacked for all of our practices and then voluntarily? But things like this have happened in the past. The Red Scare has popped up numerous times. It's still going on now with social media. But the numbers are available. Do with them what you will. But I say flood them. I say flood them with positivity. I say flood them with comments on how well your government's doing. See, my state government's doing fairly good here in Kentucky. I don't... yes, they introduced the number, and that's the only thing I've had a really issue with yet is hey, let's turn on our neighbors. That's it. I've had no issue with the lockdown or... I don't watch the hour-long press conferences. I don't watch politicians talk because they're lying when they're talking. I keep an eye on what's happening behind the scenes because I understand that this is a good front for, hey, I need to veto this and, hey, I need to pass that in the back rooms. As long as this is dominating the prime time, then you're not going to see all the various bills that are being passed and things of that nature. But the numbers are there. Numbers are there for you to do with what you will. And now you know, and all that good jive. Man, it's depressing. It's depressing to have to do a podcast about something like that. It's even more depressing that there's people it won't impact. There's people that'll look at it and go, well, I guess it'll depend on this one because both sides are doing it. I guess if they're a liberal, they'll have to go, well, he's just a conservative Trump supporter because that's the limit of their ability to rationalize and argue. It doesn't go any higher than that. If you're looking for a ceiling of intelligence, you've stopped way before that. And then, of course, if you're a conservative, well, he's just a liberal. You know what I mean? I mean, he's just doing this so he can take our guns, so that he can kill more babies, and so that he can let them gays get married. That's the only reason why he's doing it. And see, nothing would ever change that mentality, because if you're that dead set, that's your ceiling, that's your limit, that's your level of rationality. The intelligence level doesn't get any higher. You don't have the ability to compute or think at any other level than that. That's sad. But both of those factions are very small. Both of those factions are very small. And I hope that becoming self-aware of themselves may even cut their numbers down. I don't know. We've got a cheese puff and a narcoleptic kid kisser running for president. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe these people are in the majority. If they are, then this is no good. And one of these days, this will be deleted from the record, and you'll never be able to find this little public service announcement. But the numbers are there. Call them. Either report your neighbor. Say, look, he's traveling out, and, I seen him in a place that had 3 people in it the other day, and I believe he went to a religious institution for maybe 5 or 10 minutes one day, and also, if I want to be honest about it, I believe he may be a commie. I'm just saying, he may be a commie. Or you could call it and go, you know what? I think our governor's done pretty good, and I want to report that. Or, hey, I got a neighbor that I think needs help. And let's reward people for the good that they do. And let's look at people, and let's take that effort that it takes to look at those calls and scan that information, go through that, and report things that matter. Hey, this area has been without power for a week, and, you know, it wouldn't be a bad idea maybe get the National Guard down there and, you know, deliver some water. No guns needed. You know, or maybe set aside some of the money allocated for your little telephone deal and use that money to hire some extra help. Oh, this is the perfect idea. Use that phone number as an unemployment phone number, so it's not so hard for people to get signed up for unemployment. I don't know. I'm crazy. I'm a liberal conservative. I'm crazy. Just pick your side, whichever one you're on, whichever unit you belong to. Go ahead and disregard me to the other side. But as they say, now you know. And as G.I. Joe says, knowing is half the battle, and all that good stuff that really we just ignore. We speak in sound bites, and we repeat rhetoric, and we speak with these ideals that we find other people may either flock to or be repelled from, and we go with that information just as a way to say something, just as a way to get something, excuse me, not as a real conversation or a real thought. Or real thoughts, they can come from anywhere, but you have to have some type of investment in them. You know, a real ideal, a real thought, because beliefs are dangerous. But I'm not going to list any of those numbers here. If you want them, do the work and find them. And I don't know. I mean, maybe this at least made you think. Probably not. Actually, I think the people who listen to this will think. If anybody else accidentally finds it, yeah, it's going to be dependent on which party they swing to which side I'm betraying. But call your numbers, report your neighbors, be good citizens.